everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we are going to be doing the first episode of the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! So I hope you guys all enjoy this series that we are going to be working on. As you see, this is the title right here, but it's going to be a very fun series to do, and I hope you guys all thoroughly enjoy it and are supportive of it. So today's episode is going to be a prologue episode. What do I mean by a prologue episode? So this is going to be the birth of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the OCG in the 90s, pretty much. That is what we are going to be talking about and referencing. That is mainly what this is going to be about. So the first episode is a prologue, the birth and the roots of the game, pretty much. So guys, the first thing that you need to know about the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that it originated as a manga. It originated as a manga and first came out in September 30th, 1996. I was 6 years old as a baby, but the first manga came out then, and that was about the original series of Yu-Gi-Oh! So Yami, a Tim, whichever name you want to prefer to call him, pretty much a Tim, Yugi, Joey, Tristan, Taya, all those lovely characters, Seto Kaiba himself in his all his glory. That literally lasted from 1996 to 2004, the original series manga. But that was such a very popular manga, and something people don't understand and don't know that much about is that original manga was not about Yu-Gi-Oh! Kazuki Takahashi, as you see his beautiful face right here, Kazuki Takahashi, he wanted to make it a gaming, like a geek type of anime, I guess you could say, where Yugi and friends play different types of games. If you watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0, you will kind of see this. You will kind of notice these kind of things if you ever watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0, as you see here. It's a different type of series, like it wasn't all about Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's what the original anime was about for the first couple of things. It came out in a weekly Shonen Jump, before it was called Shonen Jump, a weekly Jump series. And it was something that Kazuki Takahashi, as you see here, it was a thing that became really popular, and he originally did not want it to be about Yu-Gi-Oh! It wasn't really about Yu-Gi-Oh! The original manga was about, as you see here, this is a picture of the first manga, but it was more about games in general. It was kind of like a geek type of culture, manga and anime really. If you've ever read any of the original manga, which the original manga, if you guys don't know, in Japan it came out, like I said, September 30th, 1996, and it lasted until March 2004. And the original manga, as you guys probably know what I'm referring to, is Yugi, Joey, Tristan, Seto Kaiba, a Tim, all those guys. That's what the original manga is about, and it lasted for that long. But it was very popular, and what Kazuki Takahashi people noticed was, yes, people enjoyed watching these other games, and if you've ever watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0, as you see, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0, like a picture of it, which is a very dark anime. It's kind of like a prologue type of thing to the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Show, but it only aired in Japan, and when Konami brought the rights, as we'll talk to you about in a while, this Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0 did not last that long. It only lasted, I think, 24, 25 episodes, really. So, pretty much the manga, in a nutshell, was not focused on original Yu-Gi-Oh! But people noticed that Yu-Gi-Oh! was the most popular game they played. This Duel Monsters game with monsters, you know, kaijus, whatever you want to say, pretty much, you know. People liked that. So, it became popular and became more of a weekly series that you saw Yu-Gi-Oh! The card game take shape more in the manga. So, pretty much what happened after the manga was released, you saw Bandai in the OCG pretty much in 1998 start making what we guys know, if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh! Collector or a student of the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! They started making Bandai cards. As you see here are a couple of pictures of some of the Bandai cards that are probably rolling beside me as I'm talking here. But Bandai cards are completely different than the Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that we know and love nowadays. They look completely different. Exodia, as you see here, has like, he's a little bit different. Let's try some of the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, looks completely different. There's a lot of things you'll just notice that they're very completely different in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Future cards that became staple when Konami brought the Bandai, I guess, the rights to Yu-Gi-Oh! their statistics are different. The game itself is a completely different game in some aspects. If you look at the back of the Bandai cards, you'll even see that they look a little bit different as well. But another thing we need to mention now, guys, is the series. So like the anime of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, Toei, pretty much the guys that make a lot of anime in the OCG, Toei Animation, I guess you could say. I don't know if they were originally called just Toei or Toei Animation back in the 90s. I don't remember, but in 1998, they aired the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode on Yu-Gi-Oh! In April 1998. It was called Duel Monsters. Or excuse me, it was just called Yu-Gi-Oh! Not Duel Monsters. But yeah, it was a very popular episode, and it really gave Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of ground and roots. Konami in 1998, though, decided to buy Yu-Gi-Oh! From not necessarily Kazuki Takahashi himself, but the rights to make Yu-Gi-Oh! That's why you see things like Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 0, really. From what I've seen, they don't last that long. Like in 1998, you know, Toei was doing this, Bandai was producing cards, but Konami brought the rights to it, pretty much in a sense, and started doing their own thing. Now, if you guys don't know, at the same time, even though Kazuki Takahashi had sold the rights and everything in the product, you know, the making of his product, he did make a couple of stipulations. One of them, which is the most famous stipulation as he made, was prize money cannot be given away in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! If you guys don't know that, it is true. Kazuki Takahashi does that. That's why you see in official Konami tournaments up to this time frame that I'm talking about right now, no prize money. You cannot do that. Now, you can win scholarships and things like that, which Konami has sometimes done, but very, very lightly. They've done it maybe a few times, but usually the money does not go to people or kids. It goes to the school, not to the kids itself. So they're very fickle about that, and that's because of what Kazuki Takahashi did. Also, if you guys are more familiar as well, what the OCG has done, Kazuki Takahashi has also wanted every banned card on the ban list to be off at some point in time. So that is why you've seen a lot over the last year to 2-3 years, you've seen a lot of banned cards come off the ban list with erratas, because Kazuki Takahashi wants them off the ban list. Even though he's the creator and the godfather game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And we should all give him a round of applause for making this beautiful game, as you see his beautiful face right there. Right there. As you see his beautiful face right there, we should give him a round of applause, because if it wasn't for this man, even though we may not like some of the things he has said about the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, we have to give him a round of applause, literally like a golf clap or something, and stand up, because if it wasn't for him, guys, this game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Right here, this game that we love, would not be happening. It would not. So because of him, we have this game of Yu-Gi-Oh! That we love. If you love the manga, if you love the anime, no matter what you love about the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, the card game, whatever, the show, if it wasn't for him, none of this would have been possible. If it wasn't for his brilliant mind. If you've never watched and seen some of his artwork, definitely go check it out. He's a very gifted drawer, especially with Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff. And he always, even though he likes the card game and it's the most popular thing, he likes it because it's a gaming anime in a way. It's about gaming at its heart. And like I said earlier, at the heart of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not about the card game necessarily. It's about games. That's why later down the road you saw things like Dungeon Dice Monsters and things of that nature, because he didn't want to make it all about Yu-Gi-Oh! Necessarily. So, like I said, if you've ever been wondering, and if you think about it for a second, like I said earlier, Kazuki Takahashi, trying to pronounce the name, wanted to make the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Just about games in general, like a geek culture, like I said earlier. So if you really think about it for a quick second there, think about it. What is Yu-Gi or a Tim's nickname? The King of Games, right? Not the King of Yu-Gi-Oh! The King of Games. Because the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series was about games in general. He was the king of any type of game that could be played, not just Yu-Gi-Oh! But because Yu-Gi-Oh! Was so popular, they focused more on the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So, Konami, we're going to talk about now. We're going to talk about the part of Konami buying the rights to Yu-Gi-Oh! So I wanted to talk about a synopsis prior to this about Yu-Gi-Oh! Before Konami. Toei Animation, Bandai, things of that nature. So now we're going to talk about Konami. So in 1998, Konami bought the rights to Yu-Gi-Oh! The first series of things to come out officially, really, was you had Volume 1 through 7, which back then, you guys have to understand, it was mostly just vanilla cards. Effect monsters, not so much. It's just, you see these monsters like, we'll throw one up on the video here, over here, guys. Over there. You'll see it sometimes where you just have, like these 900 vanilla beaters, and you're like, what the fudge, why would they make 900 vanilla beaters? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's because literally that was the inception of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! People forget that cards later down the road, things like Celtic Guardian, Hutatsumi Giant, those were meta-defining cards at some point in Yu-Gi-Oh!'s history. People do not understand that. Rogue Doll, as I threw up a picture of Rogue Doll here, that was meta-defining for a 16 vanilla beat stick. Then later on, you saw major power creep later on with Battle Ox, 7 Colored Fish, Lajin, the Mystical Genie, and also Gemini Elf. So though, it was a quick power creep in 1998 to see that, where we went from pretty much Hutatsumi Giant to Celtic Guardian to Rogue Doll to 1817 vanilla beat sticks. So that's why you see in the early part of the game, it's 900 and something beat sticks. But the first things we had, some of the first product released in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! For the OCG was Volume 1 through 7, Booster 1 through 7, Booster reprints 1 through 7 apparently. So what they did pretty much is you had your Volume 1 through 7, then you had your Booster 1 through 7 prints, and then you had a reprint series for a while of the volume sets. So the things that were printed in the volume sets, they were reprinted because the game was getting more popular in the OCG. The last thing we're going to mention in this video, guys, is something that it's really before they did all these volumes and booster sets, they really just brought out this movie. Now, I can't, as of me doing this video right now, we have not found a link to this movie. If we do, we will put it in the description down below for you guys if you guys would like to watch it. But it's pretty much was a movie that was released, and in this movie, pretty much they gave everybody a box. So we have the Legendary Collection boxes, not necessarily the Legendary Collections like 5Ds, but the ones we got where we had the Yugi, the Kaiba, and the Joey starter decks, kind of like what you saw we got this past year, and before that we had the Yu-Gi-Oh! Legendary decks. Pretty much that is what they got, in a sense. So they pretty much got star chips, mouse pads, calculator. Yes, they legitimately got star chips, which was kind of cool in its own way. They also got a deck box, and it was kind of cool if you've ever seen a deck box. They actually could put it on the belt so they could look like a real Yu-Gi-Oh! If they were walking around flipping up, let's duel, kind of like the Pokemon thing, let's throw a Pokeball, no, let's flip up my box and let's play Duel Monsters. But yes, it was really interesting, and I'll put a picture of the box over here right now. Sorry about my pointing, I get better with my pointing of fingers. But yes, they made the box, and pretty much they had a lot of vanilla cards in that box. You look at the box and you're like, I watched the box opening of it, and it's Sanga, the Grassland. So I forget the OCG name, but the Grass for Warriors and Beasts, Wasteland, Umi, literally just field spells and 900 vanilla beaters and 800 and 500 vanilla beaters. Those vanilla beaters that you see come in Astro packs and tournament packs throughout the years, and whatever tournament type of packs we're getting. Those vanillas that you're like, where the hell did this come from? Well, they most likely came out of that set, really. they mainly come out of that set. Because of that reason. If you want to watch an opening of that, we'll have a video linked down in the description below if you would like to go see an opening of somebody opening that box of that original Yu-Gi-Oh's case. So you have to keep in mind here that first off, Bandai and Toei were making the Yu-Gi-Oh product. In 1998, pretty much as a synopsis, Konami brought the rights to Yu-Gi-Oh! They made a movie where they released the first set of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Which was the movie with the legendary box where it had a lot of vanillas and field spells. If you've looked through the box, you will notice also that it had a Blue Eyes White Dragon, got released in there, but there's no effect monsters. So effect monsters, in a way, in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, even though over here in the TCG, we got some effect monsters with the Legend of Blue Eyes. Effect monsters initially were a power creep in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Necessarily. It was originally just vanilla monsters, then you have a little bit bigger beaters that are vanilla monsters, then eventually you get to effect monsters, and you know, all throughout this time you do have tribute monsters. But tribute monsters will get better as time goes on in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! As you guys will notice. And eventually we'll get to monarchs and all those things. But power creep, even from the inception of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, is always happening. Even in the OCG, before it came over here to the TCG, it was already happening. Do keep that in mind as you watch the series. You will see power creep. You will see cards come back. Cards go away. Cards no longer being played. You will notice that as we do this series. But keep that in mind. Yu-Gi-Oh! Started with vanilla beat sticks that had and no effect monsters when Konami brought this game. The game has changed a lot since then, hasn't it? So yeah, do keep that in mind, guys. But I hope you guys all enjoyed this series. And like I said, the things to keep in mind in this episode to take away was the game initially started in 1996, and by 1998, the game was very popular. A couple years later, guys, we in the TCG will get the Legend of Blue Eyes. That's it. That's it. I pointed the wrong way. Damn it. But we will get the Legend of Blue Eyes, which is the first set we will get in the TCG down the road in 2002. So guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you would like to, there will be a link at the end of the video that you can subscribe to. Or if you would like to, you can subscribe to that little button down below, that little red bar button. But also, guys, I would like to give a shout out to my friend Yu-Gi-Oh! Tolly, also known as Mike Tolly. He's the one that's done all the editing for these videos that you've seen so far. And a shout out to Raging Raid Raptor, who did the intro and the logo for all the videos that you've seen on this channel thus far. So if you guys would like to subscribe to them or go check them out, there'll be links to their channel in the at the end of this video and down in the description below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and remember to subscribe and like. Thank you guys very much for your support.